Talking landscape photography with Christian Fletcher and Cowan.
Hi, Peter Eastway here.
The natural light in the tunnel here.
It sounds like you have a good time, having a good time there.
Talking landscape photography.
Some say a big dark and stormy cloud follows him wherever he goes, and that's actually a good thing. Jordan Cantelo, is that true, or do you actually have to go looking for storm clouds nowadays?
Oh no, I'm pretty fortunate. Sometimes it does chase me around, but no, I do a bit of chasing of the weather as well. So in the summertime, it's pretty active here in the southwest and out to Wheatbelt and Goldfields beyond, and I'm pretty fortunate that I'm able to head out and chase those big clouds that the southwest and those particular areas are renowned for, which is great.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan. Good to have you on, mate.
Okay, Christian.
Wonderful to hear your voice. It's like I heard it just minutes ago. It's like we've done this before. Maybe
Deja vu.
I don't know, but it just sounds like this deja vu, mate. Wouldn't you say, Carl?
Look, we're going to have to do a quick backstory. This normally happens when Tony Hewitt's on the show, but we started recording with Jordan, and it was going fantastically, and I forgot to hit the record button. So yeah,
it's a professional outfit, this one.
Oh, we're so professional, professional.
Hey, Jordan. Hey, mate. Look, I just want to talk to you. We wanted to get you on the podcast for a while, and mainly because one, you're a great guy, and two, because you take beautiful photographs of amazing natural storms, and I mean, I guess they're all natural, aren't they? A storm. I mean, could you have an unnatural storm?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, right. Okay. I generally only get storms in teacups. That's the most I seem to get when I'm going out storm chasing. But hey, we know your work, mate. A lot of us know your work, but we don't know who you are. So who is the man behind the lens?
Yeah. So thanks for having us on initially. But
Pleasure.
Look,
Pleasure.
yeah.
Third time lucky.
Look, name's Jordan Cantelo. I guess I'm known for at the moment with my storm photography. So in the summertime when it's nice and active throughout the southwest land division of Western Australia, I'm usually out in the Wheatbelt and Goldfields on my days off, and with the loving support of my wife and my two kids, I'm out that way and chasing storms on my days off. So big clouds out that way. Really nice and warm, but very fortunate to take my camera gear and spend a couple of days out there and seeing what Mother Nature can present in front of us, which is sometimes pretty spectacular.
Yeah. So when did you this photography gig become a part of your life?
I guess I've been doing it since the mid 2000s. So I just came back initially from a big world trip that I did with a couple of mates in about 2005-06, and I went out to the Wheatbelt. My old man was I had a couple of pacing horses, and part of that circuit was out in the country circuit. So we went out to Calabarin one particular day, and he said, "Do you want to come out?" And I said, yeah, absolutely. And knowing that there was some storms and stuff going to form, and I thought, this would be pretty interesting. It's probably could do two birds, one stone here. And, myself and my old man, previously to that, we used to go out to the pine plantations north of Perth, out the back of Wanneroo there, and you look over the hills, and when these storms form, you could just see them from a distance. And when it looks like this nature's own strobe show discotheque sort of thing going out in the east out towards the Wheatbelt, you just think, wow, how awesome is that? So the opportunity come out to Calabarin, and I said to Dad after the horses had finished for the day, do you want to hang out here? Because it looks like it's going to fire up. And look, the clouds already start to get dark out to the east, and Hill's all for it, so which was great. So we went out there in his Land Cruiser. So I had this sort of feeling in the back of my mind, thinking, please don't be a big hailstorm, because that would be devastating for him. It ended up being a magic day, and it really kicked off my love for chasing the weather around in that particular part of the world. And I've just been doing it ever since then. Just absolutely love being out in the elements and just sort of hearing those rumbles of thunder and flashes of lightning. It's just wicked, mate. Love it.
So did you start taking your camera out at the same time then, or was it just purely observing at that stage?
Yeah, no, I had a Canon, Canon 5D something then.
Mine too.
It was a 5D Mark II.
Yes.
It was that one.
Yeah, that's legendary in this podcast.
beautiful.
It was a Butte camera. I love it. I still got it now. I use it with my time lapse and stuff. So I'm not sure how much longer it's going to last, but she's been very good camera. And anyway, so we were out there, and I was taking some photos there, and it was actually part of my first, I guess you could say, storm chasing trip. Where I actually went out purposely to take photos. After the horses had finished. So it was great. Got some good images, and I thought, this is just wicked. I want to do this more. So yeah, jumped in my Subaru Outback that I had then, and I had that for a few years, and then upgraded to a RAV4 and a bit more comfortable, a bit more reliability, and it's great.
Mate, you are very well regarded for being able to read the weather. Do you study weather patterns to find yourself in the right place at the right time, or would you say you've got a sixth sense for when a storm's going to happen?
No, I do a lot of study. I guess in my line of work during the summertime, we watch the weather very closely. I work in fire management with the state government, and I guess we get these weather briefs pretty detailed in the morning, and what the forecast is pretty much for the next 5 or 6 days. But then there's weather models and stuff out that I sort of watch and study quite closely to sort of line it up with time off, to see whether there's actually going to be activity during my time in my period off. So I'll look for, we got this thing called the West Coast Trough that forms up in Western Australia. So you've got these low pressure systems up to north, and they form a line of instability, I guess could say, that comes down the West Coast. And I'm watching those pretty closely, one, because of fire weather. We obviously want to make sure that we're all ready for that. And but secondly, obviously my love of storms. So if it lines up with a day off, I'm watching that weather really closely, and I'm heading out. I'm gone. So with the support of my wife and the 2 kids, I'm out of here for 2 to 3 days at a time. And
happy to see the back of you.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why she's so keen for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you obviously are very adept at collecting brownie points and being able to get that leave pass to go off and do that sort of thing. So
100%.
You might need to do a workshop, not only on taking great photos out in storms, but also how to be a good husband and get the approvals, or the necessary approvals in place to go do these things.
Well, that's it. It's 9 months of the year that it's all brownie points and begging and doing everything that she needs, I guess, tenfold, to make sure that I've got enough and use up all the brownie points in usually a 3 or 4 week period during the summertime. They get dwindled pretty low. So I'm groveling at her feet usually for the rest of the year. But look, Irene, my wife, is absolutely fantastic, and I've got a lot of support from her, which is I wouldn't be able to do this without it. So it's absolutely amazing what you do, mate, because it's quite a scary thing to be out there taking photographs. I mean, I've only got one shot of a lightning storm that actually got some comments, and I was kind of proud of. But I actually took that from inside my car. I basically had the camera set up on a tripod right near the car door, and I was just doing, I think, 2-minute exposures at that stage, and I would just set the camera off and just jump in the car, and luckily I had a really good strike right near the car, and I felt kind of a little bit safer. But do you find it like a little bit daunting being out there amongst all this stuff, or you're just made of concrete and you just don't care? I like to think I'm made of concrete, but no, mate, it's absolutely. I get out there, and there's sometimes, and it's right above me, and I'm thinking, what are you doing, Geordie? But look, I guess the attraction is just being in amongst it all. That raw power of Mother Nature when it's rumbling above you, and flashes of lightning. There's certain elements in the back of my head. You get that sixth sense, I think Carl was saying before, and it sort of says that, probably pushing the limit here, and then you sort of move on a bit and set up again. But there's certain times that I've had the hair stand up. Literally, you stand up on your head and on the back of your neck, and you think, I'm out of here. I've come close a couple of times. We've had a couple of big lightning strikes just recently, actually. I was up in Karajini with my brother. He came up with me this year, who is another he's getting into his storm chasing a bit now. So when he's free and both our guys line up, we go out. So he came up to Carragini for a week, up to the Pilbara, and we were actually in Carragini on our first day, just east of Tom Price, between near the Carragini entry gate, and big bolt of lightning landed. Whoa, would have had to been 200 meters because the crack of thunder was almost instantaneous.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, mate! But it was behind us. I think it was just on that. What's that mountain just to the side of Mount Bruce, Mount Otto, or something like that? I think it is called, or near the entry to Wano Gorges.
Yep.
But we were just parked up there, right at the entry to the park, and he said he could see the lightning through my eye, like not through my eye, like the reflection through my eye to the reflection of the car that we're standing up against.
Yeah.
And mate, he was frothing, absolutely frothing. But we were instantly looking at each other, goes, yeah, let's move. We bolted about 20 Ks up the road and watched this thing approach us again. And I guess it's times like that. You do get close. And look, I'm not here to really promote storm chasing to people. I think it's something that you want to go out, you want to do it. You just have to know the risks. There's certain huge element of risk. Yeah. But I mean, just to be in amongst it is pretty awesome.
Can I just ask you, like, how this might sound silly, but how close is too close? Because I know lightning steps, doesn't it? So if you're in its vicinity, it can actually reach out and give you quite a long day. Like, how close is too close?
Being under a storm is too close. So lightning, there's a phenomenon called bolts from the blue. I guess that's what it's a terminology I guess storm chaser and everyone knows and meteorologists use, and it's a bolt of lightning. It can potentially travel up to 20 kilometers away from a storm. So if you're inside that 20 Ks, technically you're in that zone that could be struck.
Okay.
Look, you would have to be fairly unfortunate, but your risk of getting struck skyrockets when you're inside that area. And it's just one of those things, I guess, you just take those safety measures. You don't go stand on top of a hill with a umbrella up, or go fly a kite or with a key on it, or those sort of things.
No.
So
you're doing a science experiment.
yeah, that's right.
And are you close to your car when this is happening? So you can, I guess it acts as a Faraday cage, so you can jump in there if it gets quite real, or? Well,
the Faraday cage works when you're inside it. Not so much when you're outside and getting struck. Maybe I should walk around in a steel cage. Maybe that will work. That'll look a bit odd, but yeah, watch for my next Instagram photo. That might be a Faraday cage with me walking around.
Get your bike on out.
But look, I'm usually away from the car, not too far. Usually trying to find a composition on the side of a road or down a dirt road where I might be on a farm, on next to a farm field or a farming gate. So I'll walk away, usually a couple 100 meters or 100 meters away from the car and set up. But when it's really going, I won't venture too far from the car. One, because you got that sort of, I guess, this security in the back of your head. If I'm close to the car, it's not going to hit me, which is ridiculous, really, because if it's going to hit you, it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
But it's, if you got heavy rain, I'm usually chasing pretty close to where all the activity is happening, because that's what I love, and that's the photos I love to capture. But with that comes a heavy rain, the strong winds, the chance of pretty decent sized hail. So I don't want to be 100 meters away from a car when, all the hail starts falling down. It gets pretty cold, and I want to chuck my gear in the car and keep moving.
Yeah, I've heard that hail, when there's hail, it looks blue in the clouds. Is that right?
100%. Yeah. Yep. And when you see it, only just recently, again, just up near, where was I? Dandaragan. So it wasn't too far from Perth. Some of my latest photos there. Beautiful, absolutely stunning sunset. I actually this shows my commitment and probably craziness. I went out, I just had my wisdom tooth taken out that afternoon. So my appointment was at 1:00, and I still had the anesthetic in my mouth, and I couldn't feel the bottom of my jaw. So anyway, I thought, I've got the rest of the day off. There's storms forecast, let's go. So I talked to my wife, and she goes, "You're nuts." I said, "Yeah." So anyway, went up, got to Dandaragan, and this big storm firing up, and the anaesthetic started to wear off and starting to question my motive for that afternoon, and smashed myself with a bit of Nurofen and Panadol, and that sort of numbed it a bit, which was good.
Yeah.
But talking about that colours, that particular day, it was coming closer, and this most brilliant turquoise cyan sort of colours came out of the cloud, and I thought, you ripper, look at this. It looks amazing. When you see those colours, one, you've got hail, you've got ice and all that sort of stuff happening, but they produce the most magnificent natural colours. You don't have to do anything really in post, and it's just there. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm just going through your Instagram feed now, and just every one of the shots is a winner. It's just incredible, the detail. Are you shooting with the Pentax these days? Was that what you're shooting with? Is that your...
Yeah, that's my go-to. Yeah, I've had that for a couple of years now, and a magnificent system. I love it. It's nice, big and heavy, which I quite like for the stuff that I do here. It is a bit cumbersome when you're trying to do other sort of stuff. It's not something you could take out to the park and take some family clicks. It's pretty big, but with all the gear, I guess the heavy equipment is sometimes better for storm chasing because you want it to be heavy, solid, grounded with the strong winds and stuff. So, I put sandbags and my camera bag and whatever to hold the tripods down. But the heavier camera up top is it pays off. And look, it takes in a magic photo as well, being that little bit bigger than a normal 35mm digital SLR. So
right. So you obviously had so many of these memorable experiences, but is there one that stands out to you as the most memorable shoot you've had?
There's a couple that really do stand out, but one in particular, a couple of years ago, I went up to the Kimberley, the Pilbara and the Kimberley up there, and the forecast wasn't looking great. Like, the Kimberley is a funny thing because up there, the weather during that build-up sort of time to end of November, December, when it's on, it's absolutely amazing. But the road networks up there are pretty vast, and the Gibb River road, once it turns to gravel and they've got the wet season there, it becomes pretty horrendous, and they actually close it. So a number of the roads close down. So when I'm looking at the forecast, especially in the Kimberley, I want storms and stuff to be forming up, in that eastern part, the Wyndham, the Five Rivers Lookout, Kununurra, Lake Argyle, because it's a good road network in that particular area. But as soon as you start moving a little bit into that Mitchell Plateau towards Derby Way, it becomes pretty remote. So I was looking at the forecast, and it wasn't really lining up. It was more in that central sort of Kimberley area, and I was thinking, oh no. But this sort of system sort of started firing up a little bit a couple of days out, and I saw it on the forecast, and I thought, yep, I'm going to head out there. So I went up to Kununurra, took that 10-hour trip, left at 4 o'clock in the morning, and got left Broome at 4 o'clock in the morning it was, and then got to Kununurra mid-afternoon, and just as these storms were starting to form up. So I went straight up the Five Rivers Lookout, and they just went ballistic right on sunset. And that's probably some of my most popular and probably some of my most memorable sort of photos I've taken. It was this bolts of lightning that were coming out. It almost looked like, I'm not a religious person by any stretch, but it looked like hands of God coming out from the sky. The ways that the lightning was falling through the rain that was coming down. The colours were just absolutely breathtaking. Right over, west of Wyndham from Five Rivers Lookout, looking over the Pentecost, and I was thinking, my gosh. The one thing I do remember from that, not only just that scene, was the there was 10 billion mozzies hanging around.
Was it?
And on my Instagram feed, you could just hear this low buzz, this buzz hanging around. I was getting smashed, but the days afterwards I felt that. But that afternoon, mate, I couldn't care less. It was incredible. One of those things that I'll never forget that moment for sure.
I mean, the Bastion is like one of the highest points, isn't it, at Wyndham?
Yeah, that's right.
You're up there during a storm. That must have been. And there's probably some towers up there as well, isn't there? Some area. Yeah,
there's a Bureau of Meteorology weather radar up there. It usually tries to find the highest point. So, maybe not the best or the safest place to be in retrospect. But look, I met another photographer up there. There's a couple of great photographers in the Kimberley, and I met a lady up there, Landy Bradshaw, up that way, and she.
Hey, Landy.
Yep, and she took some amazing photos at the same location, and look, it's just those guys are very fortunate to live in that location. I don't, they have to drive too far to get there, and they get to see that year in, year out, and it's just one of those special moments, mate.
Yeah. And what's been the scariest? Was it that one you were describing earlier with your With your account? Was that-
I've had a couple of really close calls. So that one at Carragini was pretty. How you going? But I've had a couple as well out near Darwin. I had one with Mitchell as well, actually on the same trip. Funnily enough, we went from where was it, Port Hedland out towards Millstream, and that entry road into Millstream, you go past Pyramid Hill, I think it is, from the north to the south, and we're in there, and so it's in this bit of a valley, and that was looking pretty neat. And that close call, we were photographing a shelf cloud that was coming relatively close. And we thought, we better get going because it was right above me. I got a wicked time lapse from it, and it was right above our head. And I thought to Mitch, let's move. So we did. We moved about a K down the road, and I kid no word of a lie, a lightning bolt landed pretty much exactly where we were standing, just in front of Pyramid Hill. And we just both looked at each other and went, oh, yeah.
Someone's looking after you.
Let's keep moving, mate. So, look, you get a few close bits, mate, but, I love getting nice and close and hearing those big bolts and seeing those big bolts, and hearing that absolute crack of thunder. It's pretty addictive, but, some people might think I'm a little bit crazy too.
Jordan, you don't describe yourself as a storm chaser per se, do you?
No, I don't. I like to say as a bit more of a weather photographer. Going out and about. I mean, it's obvious I chase storms to get the photos, but I don't go out there for the research side of stuff. I'm simply out there to take some photos and to really embrace the weather and really experience it. Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about the science of predicting where these storms will be and whether they're worth chasing or not?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I obviously with our in fire management and stuff, we do look at the weather quite closely. We get a pretty detailed report from the Bureau of Meteorology. That's usually a bit of a 5-dayer that shows us what fire weather we're coming in. And in the summertime, we've got that west coast trough that I talked about earlier. That comes down the west coast, and they are usually fueled with it's a bit of instability and usually laden with a bit of moisture as well. So we've got this dry winds that come in from the northeast. So you've got these real strong northeasterly winds that Perth is renowned for in the summer, and you get those 40-degree days. But when that trough moves through, they've got a bit of moisture and a bit of instability with them as well. So that's one of the mechanisms you need with a thunderstorm. So usually on that trough line, they form up. So I'm watching pretty closely on the synoptic charts. We've got three different models that we use primarily. And that's an Access model, which is an Australian model, the GFS model, which is a United States model, and then the European model as well. So watching those three, and when those three start to line up and talk to each other and start aligning, then you know something's certainly going to be happening. So I just watch those, day in, day out, every morning. First thing I do when I wake up is look at on Weather Zone and looking at these models. And then on Windy is another app I use as well, and I'll be looking. That only goes out to 8 days, I think it is. But I can go out to 16 days with Weather Zone and have a look at these synoptics and start lining up with time off.
Do you need to get the paid one to get anything really good out of that app? Or
you may do. I've been a registered user or paid for it since day dot, so I'm assuming. So I have, I couldn't tell you. It possibly is. I have never not been signed in. So
Weather Zone should be paying me for,
exactly.
To be the poster boy. Forget the fire calendars that you're already in. January with your 12-pack. You're you should be the poster boy on the Weather Zone app, because I use that all the time. Weather Zone. But
it's amazing, and it's so user friendly. Weather Zone as well, so you can get on there and you can get so much information. All your information, it's one-stop shop. They usually piggyback off the Bureau of Meteorology data, and put it into a sense where everyone can understand it and makes it quite easy. Bureau do a great job, but it's just a lot easier on Weather Zone, I find.
Yeah,
Jordan, with all these resources that you use, how precise can you be? Would you say you get it right 60% of the time?
60% of the time, it works every time. Look, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's a lot of trial and error. So you do see these weather forecasts and they do come up, but it's not, I guess you can say I'm not a forecaster, but even the Bureau, some of those forecasters get it wrong. And they're all computer models. So you really, you've got all the ingredients there for a storm to kick off. then sometimes it just doesn't work. Like I've gone out again with one of my best mates, one of my groomsmen, Mitch. We went out one day. He said, I've got a day off. Can I come out with you? I said, yeah, come along. That's fine. So I went out there, and this is years ago, and we went out, and all the ingredients were there. The heat was there. The lifting mechanism was there, but it was just not. It didn't fire at all. It just turned into a slot mess, and we were about 800 k's away. Like, well, it's a long drive. Yeah. And he goes, "What's all this about?" I said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just one of those things. So look, Carwyn, it is a bit of hit and miss. I'd say I'm on a pretty good strike rate. I do wait till all the models line up. I don't really go on those sort of iffy days where it may happen, may not. But even when you look like it's guaranteed, you get to a certain region, I guess you could say. You could use the wheat belt, for instance. Like I'll get out to Gamelling. It's a good starting point. And then if anything happens, it's got a great road network. I can get out there and start watching the cells visually instead of looking at the radar, and then just head out directly to them. I guess the weather models give you a bit of a region where they could fire up. So you get yourself into a sort of position, and then off you go. Yeah.
Wow.
Looks like there's some weather coming in on Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
Playing some possible storms. Is winter still okay? Can you still get some good stuff in winter, or is it mainly the summer where you should be looking for this sort of stuff?
Well, it depends what you're after. Winter would make more sense for someone like myself, where I'm pretty busy in the summertime. But I guess for those bigger sort of storms, more structure, these beautiful isolated towering thunderstorms that belt up to 40,000 feet. Yeah, they're your summertime. Your winter time is your cold front, so usually a bit messy, a bit sloppier. The clouds sort of hang a bit lower. But with cold fronts in WA, they come through pretty quick, and then they're gone, and it's just cold and wet and miserable for a couple of days. Yeah. So not usually my cup of tea, but if it looks like it's forming up and something pretty special is there, then I'll go out and take a couple of photos and try my luck.
Yeah, actually, did you see the storm that came through the other day? When was it? When was I in Perth? Monday.
Yeah. No, I was at work, unfortunately, but I was getting a few messages on social media, and people going, "Where is it going to hit?" Well, I'm here. Is it going to happen? I'm stuck in the middle of the bush.
That's a good idea.
I want to turn it off. But even yesterday afternoon, I knocked off. I only had a half day at work yesterday, and in the afternoon there, I didn't have any of the camera gear with me, but this beautiful storm fired up, really quite unusual for this time of year. Really nice, a lot of structure. Didn't last for very long, but in the northern suburbs of Perth. And I got home, and Irene said that she thought that the garbage truck had actually just come past and picked up the rubbish because it was quite loud and it sounded like someone was wheeling the garbage bin in, or the rubbish bin in. I got there and big strike of lightning and then big clap of thunder, and I thought, you ripper, this is great. But sometimes good just to watch from home as well.
Yeah. Well, I was out shooting actually up at Canning Dam of all places, and I was watching this. I was with Carwyn actually, Carwyn and I.
Yeah, that's right.
Watching this weather come in, going, we're going to get it, we're going to cop it. But anyway, I was driving home back to Dunsborough, and it was probably about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:30. Yeah, and I was basically just driving towards this massive thunderstorm, and the clouds are amazing, and then all of a sudden the sunset just went ballistic, and there was pinks and reds and oranges, and there was lightning coming down and rain, and it was pretty awesome. Of course, I get the camera, I stopped the car, try to find some vantage point looking back over the hills, but I was too close to it all, and of course I pulled the camera out and no lightning. Lightning was happening in between exposure. So my next question is, do you use a lightning trigger? And if so, which one should we get?
Yes.
Yeah, so there are a couple out there. I should disclose I am an ambassador for MyOps, so I do use the MyOps trigger, and I love it. I wouldn't endorse it if I didn't believe in the product. And I use ones there. So what it is essentially is a third-party device that sits on top of your camera, usually connects to the hot shoe, through a cord, plugs into your camera, and it just registers when there's a change in the ambient light, which is usually a flash of lightning or a flash of your camera or whatever. But there's super sensitive light sensitive sensors in there. So what it does, I can control that from my phone, so it's all Bluetooth as well. So I can set up the sensitivity. set this camera up, and then hurry back to my car, similar to you, Christian.
Yeah.
And then get in there.
Yeah.
But so what it does is, I like to think that I've got cat-like reflexes, and I can see the lightning and press the trigger in all that split-second amount of time. But unfortunately, it's not true. And what the camera does is essentially acts like your finger on the trigger. So as soon as that happens, a lightning strike happens usually faster than a 60th of a second, usually a bit quicker than that. And so for your brain to process seeing the flash of lightning to your hand, to your finger, to your trigger, it's way too slow unless you fluke it, and it does happen. So it just acts like an electronic finger. It recognizes it in a blink of an eye, and then triggers your camera. And it doesn't hit everything, because there's sometimes some lightning strikes are much quicker than what the camera can see, and it might be the wrong light conditions. But 90% of the time, it's a pretty good hit rate. And it also depends on the type of camera you have as well. So, and what the reaction time of your camera. So digital SLRs seem to go a lot quicker, and the mirrorless ones do as well. My Pentax one has got a bit of a slow sort of reaction time. So sometimes it's not that great, whereas the myops on my Canon will pick it up. But then the camera's time it takes to take the photo for the Pentax is usually about 20 or 30 milliseconds slower than my Canon, and it might not pick it up. But when it does pick it up, it's a pretty good hit rate, I'd say, with the Pentax.
What did you do before you had the myops trigger? Sorry, Fletch.
Yeah, go.
How did you do it before you had the trigger? Did you just put it on continuous shutter, or what was your technique?
Yeah. Went through a couple of other different triggers prior to that. But before trigger time, it was ND filter and try to get as long exposure I can during the day. So the only problem with using those during the day is that the ND filter can sometimes suppress the spectacular lightning. So when you get those real fine bits of high-based lightning that comes down, and it can be quite those real fine bits of spark, I guess you could say, right at the sides of the lightning bolt. It can suppress those a little bit, not too much, but you're having the trigger, you don't go through countless amounts of memory cards. And thank God I'm not shooting film, mate. Otherwise, I'd be broke and eating rice for dinner.
That's right. So that's MIOPS, MIOPS. I'm just on their website now having a look on which one do I need to buy?
It's the Smart Plus is the one I've got. But they've also just released the Flex, I believe it's called.
Flex, and that's better again, or is that just the...
Oh, it's just a newer technology. It actually doesn't work on my Pentax, unfortunately. I'm onto them and say, "Oi, it's a new Flex." But yeah, the Flex is a great one, and also the Smart Plus is what I use at the moment, and it's a great looking bit of kit.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the Flex now. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there now racing out to the MIOPS website and ordering there. So where can they get one? Can they get one locally?
I have to have a look. I think maybe Camera Electronic might use them. I'm not entirely sure. I should be more across that, but usually those come through me and it goes through the website as a web purchase. But I think Camera Electronic may do so. But go see Sol down there, and he might be able to sort you out.
Do you sell them? So you sell them on your website?
I'm an affiliate with the MIOPS brand, so you get on there as well, so you can use my code and go through
just
their website.
So I'll be able to get a Flex on using your code on your website. Is that right? Or
you come through me and I'll give you a code. I'll give you a link, and then you go through there. Yeah.
All right.
Hey Jordan, what's your website? Because if anybody wants one of these, they're only sort of $200 or $300, which is probably pretty cheap insurance. But it's better if they do it through you, mate, because you get a kickback. What's your website? So
the best to go through is actually probably just email me or through my Instagram. It'd be the best. My website, you can't purchase it directly through the website, but it's best if you go through my email, and I'll flick you a link to the MIOPS website. So that's just canteloj@gmail.com, or my Instagram, which is just Instagram, and then Jordan Cantelo. Look for me, and it's my ugly mug as the profile pic.
Now, just onto your Instagram, I'm looking at it now, Jordan, and you are Instagram approved, which I think you're the first person we've spoken to that actually has that little tick.
Yeah.
But mate, you have 51,000 followers.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, you tell me. Sometimes the algorithm works for you. Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate. I like to. I hold that number. It's amazing, really. I started back, and when I got my first 1,000, I thought, wow, look at that. That's pretty cool. And when I got to 10,000, I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then over about a 3-year period, it just skyrocketed, especially in between. I think the year that I was fortunate enough to win the Nature Photographer of the Year, and that it went ballistic that particular year. I think I gained like 40,000 followers. Wow. And it just went nuts for a couple of my images that I got. And I guess the popularity just skyrocketed from there. And I guess in the weather side of things, there's not too many weather photographers, I think, when I started on the page. So I was pretty fortunate probably to be one of the first ones out there, but and just, timing and place. But there's a lot of fantastic photographers here as well. So having 52,000 followers, I'm pretty stoked about that. But yeah, there's some other great photographers as well that don't have as many followers but have got some incredible images too.
Yeah, no, that's right. Hey, what are your thoughts on a boring blue sky, mate? Is that do you just put the camera back in the bag and blue sky?
Yeah, go to sky replacement on Photoshop. No, it's I look beautiful blue skies, and you take them when you can, and you can spend some time out with the kids and with my wife and enjoy those days. But no, certainly, mate, if there's a skerrick or a hint of any storm activity or some other cloud formation in the sky, then I'm out photographing it where I can.
Yeah, I guess you. I can imagine. Here's the scene. You're at Cable Beach. It's a beautiful sunny day. Your wife's happy. The kids are playing, digging in the sand, or going for swims, and all of a sudden the cloud builds up to the east and it's starting to come over. And your wife's sort of looking at you, and you're looking at her, and she's looking back at you, and she gives you the look, and then you give her that look, and then next minute it's like, oh, honey, can I just probably ruin a couple of family holidays, I reckon.
Well, I think the smart thing is to do not to go up there during storm season, because that probably happened on numerous occasions.
Mate, would it be fair to say that you're actually quite devo when the weather's really sort of sunny and nice?
Yeah, I guess to a certain, like in the summertime, Perth, I guess, doesn't get those. We do get the odd thunderstorm that comes through this time during the summertime. But, it's clear blue skies, morning easterly, sea breeze in the afternoon, and storms form up to the east. So when I'm not able to get out and I can see those big storms out there, but it's blue skies, 38 degrees here in Perth, I'm a little bit devo, you can say. I can come home, but I know that when the time does come, I can get out there and head and enjoy it. So, look, I don't mind the blue days, but I certainly do prefer the big stormy clouds. And definitely.
Do you get any joy taking just your regular landscape photo with just an average sunset, or is that all a bit passé?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just down in Bunbury just the other day, actually, and I thought, stuff this. I'm going to head down to the southwest. So I do always try to get down to Sugarloaf Rock. I know it's the most photographed rock probably in the world, but it's spectacular for a reason. I try to get down there and try to take my landscape photos where I can. And Western Australia, Fletch and Cohen, you probably agree that we're so fortunate here. We've got such a beautiful state, and you can go out and get some magnificent photos of the landscape. And look, I'm just fortunate. I enjoy the big skies and stuff as well, but I equally enjoy taking photos of the local landscape as well. It's pretty special.
What about weddings, mate? You ever going to do weddings?
Hell no.
Hey, Jordan, have you been to the United States? I mean, Western Australia, we're known for some pretty good relief and pretty good scenery, but it's not considered a storm hotspot. I mean, I think Kansas in the United States is. Have you done that? Have you been to the US or?
I haven't been to the States. Obviously, it's going to be pretty hard for the short term. Obviously, with all COVID stuff that we're in at the moment. But a couple of friends of mine have been there in years past, and some of the images that come out of there are pretty spectacular. And it's a hot spot around the world to go out to that Midwest county and out that way. Texas, Oklahoma. In those areas even into Canada, they get some pretty amazing weather. And
really?
Look, maybe in the future, possibly, I think it'd be really good to get out there. But I I think I like showcasing Western Australia, what we've got, and even over east, New South Wales, southeastern Queensland, actually all through the southern part of Queensland, they get some magnificent storms, and you get to promote Australia at the same time. So I think I'd like to go across to the States. I guess the one thing I do that turns me off to the States, I have been asked to go across a couple of times, and the one sort of thing that does turn me off is the amount of people that do go.
Of course, yeah.
And you got this thing called Chaser Convergence, which there's a couple of websites you can go on and you can watch all these chasers remotely.
Yeah.
And you see them on this map and they're just everywhere. They're like ants.
Really?
And, spectacular. It's awesome because I think it's great that everyone loves this, watching the Mother Nature do her thing. But it just runs in that risk of getting stuck, and I don't know. It's great. Look, beautiful storms. Don't get me wrong, and they've just had a great period over the last week. And there's one Australian over there at the moment, Daniel Shaw. He's over there, and some of these photos that he's getting is just incredible. So, some other photographers as well who I follow. Michael Binsky, another fellow went across from Australia a couple of years back. Unfortunately, I think Dale Sharp, you might know him. Yeah, who unfortunately had a bit of a mishap over there and passed away. But it'd be good to get across there, almost in his honour a little bit, because he wasn't able to come home and show his big photos and stuff. But it's a pretty awesome spot. Pretty awesome spot to go.
But I mean, like you're saying, in WA, it's so beautiful, and you get up to the Kimberley and the Pilbara, and there's some pretty epic things to photograph up there, and with the storms that they get. I mean, how often do you look at the weather in the summer, and Darwin is, afternoon storm, 30 to 30 in the afternoon storm sort of thing, and every day there's storms up there. So have you heard of that one called Hector?
Yeah, absolutely. Above the Tiwi Islands there. Murray Federicks actually took a fantastic. He's been up there a couple of times shooting with his big phase, and he goes up and he's taken a few great images from there, and other local photographers up there as well. Louise Denton, I think, is one up that way. And, some amazing photos. I'd love to get up and see Hector for sure. I think back in the day, actually, it got named Hector after World War II. I think they were using it because it was a daily weather system. They almost used it as a navigational marker to show where Darwin was. So coming in, so they could see, there's Hector, and that vicinity's going to be Darwin, just south of that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that that wave cloud? Is that what the wave? The
Morning Glory.
Yeah.
Over in
that way as well.
Sorry.
Is that prevalent up that way, up in the Kimberley way?
I'm not sure if it's the Kimberley. It's the Gulf of Carpentaria. So, in Queensland. So that happens, weather phenomenon that comes through. I'm not sure what the driving forces are behind that, but seeing photos and video of it, I know it hooks along pretty quickly, and you've got these hang gliders that can surf the wave, so to speak, and it's my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Well, here's hoping that the way we're messing up the environment, we get lots more really cool storms to photograph.
Look, I guess
a little positive to the negatives that we're doing, but Are you running any workshops, or is that something that you've done, or are you planning on doing?
I looked at it for a little while. I don't run too many workshops. I guess just trying to find time to do it for my own benefit, and chasing around is hard enough. So trying to work out workshops and stuff, and that sort of things, or tutorials, or even people have asked and said, can I come and chase tours with you? I try to limit that a little bit, I guess, on the safety side of things, only because I know I have brought people out before, but it's usually like a close friend or a family member, or someone that I can sort of trust a little bit, in the sense that they're not going to go wandering 400 meters away, and then you almost feel like responsible for them because you brought them out. So people do ask, and I do bring people along every so often, and I'm open to that. But big tours and stuff like that, I just no. If someone got hit, or God forbid, it's just the risk is too high.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool, mate. And so what's the future hold for you? Are you going to be doing more of the same, this sort of stuff, or you got any other ideas or any other plans?
Yeah, so I just keep moseying on up to the north. I'll be up in the Pilbara and the Kimberley again at the end of the year. And, the other side of photography, Fletcher, one of the things I really got into photography was through your aerial work. And I want to get back up to the aircraft quite a bit again. And, I'm inspired by yourself and Tony Hewitt and people like Scott McCook and Chris Saunders and those guys. Some of the images that you can get from the air. I have a real passion for that as well. I do quite a bit of flying and I'm not able to bring my camera up, but you see some magnificent landscapes. But when I'm able to hire aircraft and get up in the air and have a look around, it's pretty specky. So, I do hope to get a few more, hopefully over this winter period when I've got a few days spare.
Hey, Jordan, during the week we put it out there that we were going to be chatting to you on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Just want to say too that we don't have 51,000 followers, but we've had a couple of people ask questions, and this one is actually from Aaron Cuthbert, who's a long time listener to this podcast.
Aaron, yeah.
He just wants to know, who is your favourite Foo Fighter? Oh, I beg your pardon, firefighter.
Favourite firefighter?
Yeah.
Well, Aaron goes all right.
Does he? He also asked you too. Foo Fighter. It's obviously Dave Grohl. He also asked, when choosing the ground composition to complement the storm, is it just luck, or are you getting far enough ahead of the front to give you enough time to find the sweet spot? Go.
Yeah. So you do have a bit of, I guess I go out that often that you do have this back in your mind of what landscape looks like out there and sort of this preconceived idea about what shots you're chasing. So out in the wheat belt, you've got silos, power lines, the furrow lines from the farming equipment. You've got houses, other sort of things, roads that you can use to your benefit. Little tree, areas of trees in the middle of a paddock. For instance, even farm animals, out that way, horses, cows, sheep, whatever. So you do have those sort of set up. Sometimes it doesn't all line up, but sometimes it does. With storm photography, obviously those things move along, and I'm chasing the storm, not usually the foreground composition.
Okay.
But if the foreground composition is there, then I will try my hardest, try to get that foreground and try to marry up the image completely. But look, my focus is in the sky, so I don't usually have a whole lot of foreground focus in my photos. It's more so that composition of the sky and how dramatic and how dynamic that environment changes. In 5 minutes, I could have this magnificent sky, and 5 minutes later, it's another magnificent sky. It's all changed again. So the good thing about it is that usually if you've got someone beside you taking photos, it's pretty rare to get the same photo over and over, because you might get the same foreground feature, but the skies from a different angle might look slightly different. So they might turn somewhere else, and the colours looking different there as well. So I guess that's the dynamic thing that I look for.
Nice work, mate. Well, mate, thank you for your time. I am inspired. I'm going to get one of those lightning triggers, so I'm going to
me too, I
message
reckon.
you in a minute and get a code or whatever it is I need to get, and then I'm just going to keep looking out. I mean, I love the idea of shooting storms, but I'm definitely not up for a 10-hour chase. So I'll just try and get what I can when it comes past my little sunny shores of Dunsborough. And thanks for your time, mate. It's been great. It's great chatting. And I never knew. I mean, I've known of you and known you for ages. I don't know how many years now, but I always thought it was Jordan Cantelo, but it's Cantelo.
Cantelo, that's the one.
Oh, sorry, mate. I've been saying it all wrong.
No, that's fine. All good.
Cantelo, yeah. And is that Italian?
Yeah, Italian. Down in those areas there. I think it used to be Cantelo, so Italian, French somewhere down there, and got family all over the place. So
exotic. No wonder they put you in at Mr. January.
That's right.
The exotic Italian stallion. They call it. Nice work, mate. All right, boys. Well, I got to go and and put out some fires and chase some other storms around the yard. So great chatting. We'll talk again soon, no doubt.
Thanks, Cowan. Thanks, Christian. Thanks for having us on, guys, and the invite. Yeah, much. It's been great to have a chat.